a soprano opera singer who has graced stages across the globe. Illustrious guests have enjoyed her performances, like Jordanian royalty and the Emperor and Empress of Japan. Mariam Tamari is Japanese-Palestinian. She's about to realize a lifelong dream, to perform solo in Palestine.
Music for me is a way to connect people, and if I could do that through my work and sharing joy and sharing experiences of union of people, that would be fantastic.
Paris, France. A sumptuous aria resonates at the heart of the city. Mariam's voice carries two identities, one from the birthplace of her mother, Japan, the other from her father's land of Palestine. Mariam is immersed in preparations. It's just 1 week until a solo recital in a very special place for her. She'll be performing solo for the first time in Palestine, in the city of Ramallah.
Fantastic. You say you don't know it. It sounds great.
Really?
Yeah, really good.
Really?
Yeah, excellent.
Oh, thank you.
You don't know, very good.
Mariam was born and lived most of her life in Tokyo, but 5 years ago, she joined many other young, upcoming artists in Paris.
Bonjour. Alors, j'aimerais deux traditions, deux parts de quiche, s'il vous plaît.
I find my inspiration in Paris. I've always loved French poetry and French music since elementary school. I've always had this deep connection with French culture, and I always knew in my heart that I would live here.
Mariam loves to practice here. It's a quiet, hidden cafe near her apartment. Today, she's studying Handel's aria, Adoro Pupille. She's never sung it before. She studies the lyrics and rhythm in silence. She's building a connection with the composer and his intentions.
I can tell why the composer wrote this note a little shorter or a little longer, why this note is this note and not another one. I love this process of communicating with the composer. I can feel like what Handel was feeling, and it's my job to communicate it to the audience. So I just love that part of my job, my work.
I knew I wanted to sing since I was a very small child, around the age of 4 or 5. My father always played classical music at home, especially Mozart and Bach were his favorites. My favorite were these jam sessions that we used to have with our family. We'd grab any instrument we could find, piano, just empty pots and flute. I think my dad played the shakuhachi and my mom played the ukulele or something like that. And we used to just go crazy singing and composing songs, and that was lots of fun.
Mariam's parents, Vladimir and Kyoko, met in the US on a Quaker Peace Studies program. They married in the Middle East, then moved to Japan where Mariam and her sister were born.
Most people didn't really know where Palestine was, and if they had heard, they would they associated it with sort of guerrilla violence, things like that. My father would be told, "Oh, you're Palestinian, but you don't look violent." So obviously, but they didn't know any better.
Mariam recently visited a refugee camp in East Jerusalem. There are just a few of the world's estimated 5 million Palestinian refugees. She shared her passion with children learning music. After Mariam's performance, a little girl ran to fetch something from home.
And she gave me this little Palestinian flag, a little bit broken. Yeah, these are my treasures. And she said, "Thank you so much for coming," and there's no words. We have so much, and she has nothing. It's just humbling. Palestinians love life. And if there's one thing that I just really want the world to know, is to see the overflowing love and warmth and generosity. I'm very proud and honored to have that in my blood.
The harsh reality of everyday life in Palestine. A wall of over 400 kilometers divides the West Bank from Israel. What Israel calls the separation barrier has been found illegal by the International Court of Justice and slammed by the UN. It deprives the Palestinians of freedom of movement. Violence, occupation and the stalled peace process with Israel have taken a heavy toll on the Palestinian economy. This is one of the poorest areas of the West Bank, where many refugees live. Mariam recently returned to the place where her heart always longs to be, Ramallah, where some of her family live. Today, her uncle Salim wanted to take her somewhere special, on the other side of the Israeli wall. The old port town of Jaffa is where Mariam's family have their roots.
That one there.
Number 74.
Number 74.
This was their family house, taken by the Israelis after the 1948 war. This is the first time Mariam has seen the house, lived in by her family for more than 3 generations. The Israeli neighbors are curious.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Originally from here. They lived in this house, and now they live in Ramallah. What is it now?
Therapy of addiction.
Ah, okay.
The house is now a rehabilitation clinic.
This is my family house, and now, Hebrew sign. It's become part of Israeli property. All I can say is that I'm really glad it's being put to good use to help people. It's just sadness that this had to happen and that we can't live here anymore. So many people lost their homes and became refugees. So many people. And this is a very raw testament to that. So it is quite emotional and it is quite sad, I find.
Mariam's destiny as a singer was sealed on her first visit to Palestine, aged 3. Entering the West Bank from Jordan, Israeli soldiers arrested her father, Vladimir. It was a case of mistaken identity.
I still remember seeing my father sitting across from me. He was blindfolded and handcuffed with 2 soldiers on either side with guns pointed at his head. And they said, if you talk to him or say anything, then we will shoot. My mother did an amazing job of comforting my sister and I. And she kept telling us that Daddy's just taking a nap, so don't talk to him, it's going to be okay. And she sang us some lullabies. And I remember that. And we were very soothed, and I had no doubt that everything was indeed going to be okay. That one, yeah. So it could have been that one, I guess.
An Israeli soldier brought her father back 2 days later. The soldier was surprised when little Mariam started happily chatting to him. He asked her father why he hadn't taught his daughters to fear the bad guys.
And my father said, no, I'll never tell them that because I will never teach my daughters to hate. I will never teach them about enemies. I only teach them love. I think it's the situation that's unfortunate, and I wouldn't like to have been the soldier, I don't think he enjoyed his job. I don't feel anger or certainly not hatred. I try my best to understand where they're coming from and the fear that they fear and that they feel. I think a sense of understanding and compassion is important.
Her father's philosophy of peace and love became the basis of Mariam's beliefs. Mariam's favorite place in Palestine, an olive grove.
Olive trees live for thousands of years, and They've seen so much. They symbolize peace in a land where we long for peace. It's a Palestinian song, resistance song, and it says, as long as I live, I vow to dedicate my life to freedom. It's obviously a very strong theme for the Palestinians, but I think letting go of all boundaries, I think that's a universal theme as a human being.
Finally, the day of the concert arrives, and Mariam heads off to the venue just an hour before the show.
Every day I ask myself this question, every single day, what can be done? What can be done? What is the solution? For me, I focus on what I can do today, and the important thing for me is not to let my spirit be destroyed. I have a responsibility to keep my own spirits up.
Mariam brings with her to the dressing room an emotional reminder.
お花はおばあちゃまが育てたジャスミン。きっと今日は来てくださっているでしょう。
بنبسط كتير إنه أسمع أوبرا، لأن أنا برضه أول مرة بسمع عرض أوبرا، وكتير حلو إنه برضه أسمع برام الله هون، فشيء رائع.
You know, people here get used that they are not allowed to be happy. They are not allowed just to live in a normal way. It's really good just to feel that you can live and you can be exposed to the world.
I'd like to sing a song, and I'd like you to sing along with me. You get to hear my embarrassing Arabic, but I'll sing from the heart. I've always been deeply moved by the strength of the Palestinian people's spirit, of never forgetting to celebrate life, no matter what.
My dream for myself is the same dream that I have for the world, for Palestine, for Japan. It's to be pure joy and light and the fullest selves that we can be, so that we can all live together sharing that in a huge celebration.